All right, good morning, guys. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Okay. So the next few weeks probably going to be kind of light in here as we get into Labor Day and the new contract. So there's going to be probably a few mornings here where I'm not able to jump on and do the pre-market or anything. But let's go ahead and jump in. Do want to show what happened here yesterday. Let me turn this DA off. So I didn't run the trade room here, but we did have some levels coming into the open. We obviously had the close of Friday up there at 42.75. We had 42 to 44 here as that region we've been watching for months and months. That was kind of the first expected resistance zone yesterday as the market opened and started to push off VWAP. So I got a really great setup there and a nice trade right off of 42 half, right down to our this level here. I just added at 40.30 half and 40.23 quarter, never got hit. And then they continued to push higher and then came up to our next expected resistance level. If you guys remember back to last week, we talked about this level here. Actually, maybe we didn't. Maybe I put this on after, but we had 40.49 quarter here. Could have sworn it was from something much earlier there, but really nice resistance zone. And sure enough, we came right into it. Got another golden confluence here off of that level, and then went ahead and sold off, holding off the back end of the OPL again. And then it was just kind of a slow trend back up to our next expected resistance zone. This should be familiar. This was the first retracement, the major retracement. If you zoom out from I believe it was the high of August 26th. So if you look at the bigger picture here, this high of August 26th, all the way down to the low of the sell-off on Friday, going into Globex. I'm sorry, the lows of Sunday's Globex. We've got, hold on a second here. So this was into the 38% retracement of the push down. Sorry, excuse me. So from the lows all the way up to the major high we made, we put on 3 retracements. This was the 38% retracement. On Friday, they went ahead and ripped right through it. But then on yesterday's session, we came right up into it and used it as a great resistance and then played around on 40.42 again. And 40.42 has acted as a really good resistance and support for, I guess, what it's been, probably months now. So pretty interesting stuff. But let's go ahead and jump into our pre-market for this morning. I'll jump up to the daily and take a look. On the daily chart here, don't really have a sexy pattern. You can make arguments that there is from the major low back here on July 26th up to the low of, I believe that was Sunday's Globex session. You could say or make an argument there's a bullish divergence from that low, so basically Monday's low, but I'm not a huge fan of it. So the daily is really not giving me too much information right now. The only thing that I would say is that if you look at the previous swing highs on RVI and where RVI is right now, we're almost about to get what could be a divergence as the market starts to kind of attempt to trek higher. So I'll be watching that, see what happens at the end of the day here. Because if this does close and give us, like, say, a double top on the RVI, but price is like a lower high, then that might be the beginning of where the turn could start to occur. So I'm going to be watching that. But for right now, the daily not really giving me too much information here. On the 4 hour gave us a beautiful bullish divergence from Sunday's Globex lows. So we're getting kind of our first, at least a nice clean signal from those lows. But as the market attempted to break out on Monday and is attempting to break out even more here going into the open right now, we do get a 4-hour bearish signal from Monday's high, which again was that retracement level at 40.64, right off of it in the pullback. And then we came down overnight session. This is just something else to note. We came right to this level 40.30 half. Actually, let me go ahead and extend this out for today. 40.30 half, and basically bounced off it, but it wasn't to the tick. Might have broke by a few ticks there. But let me bring this out to the 31st. Let's do 11 p.m. So we still have it on there. So came up, and now in our overnight session, just like yesterday's high, we got another group of bearish indications on the 4-hour. So even though everything started to line up for a bounce on Sunday's Globex low, we keep getting some pretty strong bearish clues here from the 4-hour perspective. So what does that mean? And I'll go down to the 60-minute here. 60-minute also gave us some decent bullish stuff as they started to push, but now off of the overnight high, off this double top that was made, we have another bearish divergence. So we see this on the 60-minute, we see it down on the 10, down on the 30-minute, and then we see it up here on the 4-hour. So that's a pretty significant confluence, like you guys know. So we'll watch, we'll see, is this going to now hold, and the bears are going to attempt to come back down and test that low of the Globex session. Wouldn't be surprising. But again, anything's possible. They could pull back and get as far as they are now, turn around and start bouncing again. Remember, we're right at 40.42 to 40.44. If you go down to the short time frames, we're sitting, oh, look at that. We're bouncing right off 40.42, pretty much to the tick at the moment. So this will be an important first line in the sand here this morning. If this ends up holding and the market can bounce up through VWAP and through the 200, and the holy orange power level, which yesterday and multiple times this week has worked as a really good level. In fact, go back to, I'm not going to take the time. I believe yesterday we came right into it and got a nice failure, basically to the tick. So this is going to be important. If they can get up through these levels I just mentioned, get up through the OPL, get up through the high of yesterday, this will be the really important area here, the double top from the overnight highs. So let's talk about all the other levels. I'm going to go down to the 60-minute chart and look at what we're dealing with here. So we have the major sell-off from, I don't know, what is this, Friday's high? So from Friday's high all the way down to the low of the Globex session, we get 3 major retracements back up. And we haven't quite got to the first 38 retracement. It is there just about 40.87 quarter, 40.87.5. And then we have 41.12 quarter, and then 41.37 quarter, or 41.37. Those are the 3 major retracements as the market starts to push higher. Outside of those major retracement levels, we have this swing low here that I do believe could act as a really strong resistance here. In fact, there was a similar swing low. Let me just point out so you guys see the last example. There was a swing low here that you can't even see on the 60-minute chart. And we came yesterday, that was that high I talked about. We came up into my first short, which was 42. It pulled back. And then it pushed all the way right to that swing low that, again, you can't even see on the 60-minute, and got pretty much the largest pullback of the day. So this morning, coming up into this level right here, we could very well see a similar situation, and that level is 40.99 quarter. So that's 49.99 quarter, just a little bit further. We've got a really prominent level if you zoom all the way back, if I'm remembering correctly. Look at this major swing low we bounced right out of and then gapped all the way up into the next day. That swing low there, 41.04 or 41.0375, that's a major swing that we've never really come back up into and tested at all. So be aware of that 41.04 area. And then there's finally this next swing right here at 41.1075. Outside of the 3 swings I just mentioned and the 3 retracement levels, the rest of the levels above us are just eye levels. So you should be aware of all that stuff and understand that each one very well could be a strong resistance on this attempt by the bulls to bounce right now. Now on the flip side of things, if the bears stay in control, and even if the bulls bring it up a little bit and then we fail miserably here, once we get through the OPL, we get through 42, we get through 50% of the day before at 35 quarter, 35 half, and we can get through, you see this green line, this is really one of the lines I expected to see on the Sunday Globex to hold. So either 30.75 or 15 quarter, and then what do you know, they came down to 4,006, which was our next level. But I didn't mark it green. I marked it was just a regular swing high, swing low. I was really expecting 15 or 30 to hold. They came down to the 06 one. And remember, these levels go all the way back to that chop block that we were watching from June. Remember, we had 4,015.75, we had 4,006, and we had 40.30 and then the 4023 quarter eye level in between. Those levels are now becoming super relevant 2 or 3 months later here to the tick. Came down, bounced off 06, came right into 30, pulled back, held 15, 16 there, and then held 15, 16 multiple times, only to bounce up and find resistance off that swing, right? So all these levels, I know it seems like there's a lot of stuff close together. It's just one of those things. They continue to work over and over on these major turns. So there's 4015. Let me bring this out to, let's do 4 p.m. so it extends out. We've got 06 and the low of the Globex. And then basically from there, I know we're getting close to the open, but if you zoom all the way out, we've got this whole leg. Basically the low of the year, 36.39, all the way up I think to 43.27.5 was that major high. And we get the three major retracements back down, which I told you already, the 38% retracement at around 64, we kind of pushed through on that sell-off on Friday, but then came up, and that was the high of the day yesterday to the tick. So we've already basically used that 38 level, and then we have the 50% down here just around our major eye level at 39.84 half, and then the 61.8 down here just about 39.02. So those are those three major retracements back down. If it continues to violently sell off, very well could see some support, especially because these retracements are lining up with major eye levels. So watch that 39.84 there. And so let me just kind of wrap it up here on the downside. Give me a second to rezoom this all in here. If they get through yesterday's low, or yesterday's low at 06, we've got the major retracement down around the major eye level at 39.84, and then these two minor levels that you should already have on your chart there. These are all potential support zones, and then as we get lower, lots of minor eye levels, major eye levels, and then all the swings that you should still have in your chart all the way back, probably at the end of July that we put on the chart, and the market never came back to test. So there's a swing here. Let me update this. There's a swing here at, oh, it does go out till 31st, at 39.09 half. Okay. I guess we're just zoomed out. We've got the other swing that we've been watching for months now at 38.73. Update that to PM. And anything else? Everything else is eye levels all the way back down to the low of the year, except I guess this one little pocket here, 37.09 to 37.12, I believe, 13 half. So let's update that to PM. And that swing there at 13 half, so 31st PM. And that should line you guys up for any relevant level that we're going to deal with here on the pullback. And then again, on the way back up, all the levels that could be resistance here this morning. Because I don't have the strongest, if I had a really nice, sexy daily bullish divergence here, and it would line up with the 4-hour and the hourly, and I would give you some clues that there's still more strength to the upside here, but it's kind of a mixed bag this morning. Sometimes and pretty often we just have a mixed bag, and we just have to see who wins out here. Do the bulls win on this bounce from the Sunday Globex low, or are the bears going to end up holding things down here on this kind of retest of Monday's high in the overnight session and pull things back down? And again, I don't have a super clear indication, so we're just going to have to take it whichever way the market goes this morning. And again, we have all our levels that we want to be aware of. And like I said, this week and maybe even next week is probably going to be pretty light for me. I'm not going to be doing trade room stuff. I'll try to get in here and do some pre-market to get you guys some of the relevant levels. There you go. So far, we've got a little bit of hold here at 42. But yeah, I'm not going to be here too often until we get closer to getting into that the December contract. And what I would say is that what I found to be the best trades for me are the trades where we're pushing into a good level, like we are now at 42, we start to get a 3-minute signal. You can wait until it closes and it's an official signal and then get in on a pullback. But if you really want to pinpoint that low, you kind of have to just see that there's a potential signal, see that we're at a good level. And that's typically one of the more high probability areas to try a trade. And being that you guys have been here and you've watched these charts for a long time, I'm assuming you've noticed that almost every major rotation on the intraday time frames gets a 3-minute signal. So if you can start to pinpoint where those occur. So yesterday, let me just show you yesterday here. We came right into 40.42, the major area of support and resistance. We got what looked to be a potential 3-minute signal as we were pushing into that level. I do have market internals I look at to confirm this bearishness, and I sold, and sure enough, that was the first rotation back down to come back and test this 30 half level. And then they came back up, like I said, and came into this next level, 49 quarter. We got another 3-minute signal, and from there, the largest pullback of the day, right? And then there's that hold off the OPL, which looked like we were going to then come down lower, but never came. But pretty much every major turn in the chart, not every time, but pretty much every turn is going to have that 3-minute signal. So if you wanted to cut down on scalps and stuff like that and just focus in on some of the best areas to trade, I would be waiting just for that 3-minute signal to start showing potential signals, and then use some other criteria to narrow it down and try the level. And that's what I've been doing recently, just to keep myself out of all this stuff. You can still trade and scalp. You can ride the back end of our fast moving average. You can do a lot of the other trades we've talked about in the past. But for me, I found that if I could just wait for the 3-minute to give me a signal at a relevant level, that's where my edge really plays out. So I'll leave you with that. I'm not going to be here to trade this morning, but have a great day, and I will see you guys soon.